Okay, my friends, welcome back to this commentary, well, currently post-commentary playthrough of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and its post-game. We are deep into the Outer Worlds Brutal Challenge, the one that probably took me one of the longest of any challenge I've done, any specific boss battle I've done in a normal version of the game. And we are going to continue straight on with where we left off in the last episode, where we cleared the first 3 stages and finally made it to stage 4, which is of course a nice and easy battle against Gilgamesh. So this was actually the first time that I met him. I think it took maybe 5 or 6 attempts total, and maybe a couple of hours or something like that before I got this far. Here, basically the first time I ever fought Gilgamesh, I've only fought him once, and so this was already a bit of a rare situation, because one of the things obviously that we experience a lot in the Chadley challenges, in the post-game stuff, is repetition. The bosses that you fight, including the summons, you fought them over and over and over again during the playthrough. But for this one, I'd only fought him once before. And so basically, the first time we met was on Gilgamesh Island as part of the story, on dynamic difficulty. And he was definitely tough, but he wasn't quite as bad as I thought. I beat him first time. It was a difficult encounter, but it was just about okay. We managed to make it through. And so here, I was kind of wondering if potentially it might actually... the same thing might happen. Like, how much harder is this version than the one we're facing in on Gilgamesh Island? So basically, I'm trying my best to generally stick with Yuffie for now. He is weak to fire, which definitely helps, and he has a lot of AoE. So basically, as you can see, he's constantly on the move, constantly just, you know, he's got like buffs, he's got fast-paced moves, he's got AoEs. He's just a really, really difficult guy to deal with. And at this stage I was pretty sure that it's very unlikely that even if I clear Gilgamesh that I'd be able to beat the final round. So I was just trying to give it everything just to see the final round. Just see what I could do from there. So yeah, it's going to involve a lot of like rotating around so that other characters can take the punishment. Because if I keep it on any one character for too long, I'm not good enough at like dodging and parrying his attacks to stay alive. So you're going to see a lot of rotating around, and basically everyone's kind of taking it in turns to take punishment here. Now, as you can see, he gets a lot of buffs, and so we're going to try to have some buffs of our own, but it took too long, and so we got in big trouble there. And already this is looking like game over at this point. I thought to myself, we're probably finished here. Look at all of the HP. The situations that we're dealing with are very rough at the moment. But we're going to try a big Curaga here to see if we can come back, see if Barret can survive for another second here. And we can. So we were fortunate there, we just about stayed alive. But this has been a very bad start. Like, he's just so quick and so aggressive that I'm struggling to get a foothold in the fight at the moment. And I'm going to need to get a Dispel on him eventually. That's going to obviously help. He's got so many buffs on. But they are dispellable, thankfully. But I just need a chance to make it happen. And one of the biggest problems that I found with Gilgamesh was that he also has attacks that apply a lot of status effects at once if you get hit by it. Including Toad, which is / Frog, which is one of my least favorites. So the countdown begins for this big move. And because I hadn't faced him before at this difficulty, I was like, is this just like a Zantetsuken, kind of like it's going to do quad 9 but instantly going to die? Like, I didn't really know what to expect, but obviously now I'm going to try my best to make a little bit of a comeback here and start to push him towards the stagger. So got a little block in there, trying to put the pressure back on him now. Obviously, initially they took some damage, but then they started to stop him, so you can see he's kind of staggering at the moment. He's being stun-locked a little bit, so I figured that's at least helpful. And I'm just watching a little bit here to see what's going to happen, and still trying to decide how best to handle it. So we do have our infinite MP, so I'm going to try to mana wall while I can, while he's busy getting knocked back a little bit. Okay. Get that prey in. He's focused his attention to Barret, so again, I'm constantly switching, but that ephemerality, or it's such a hard word to say. Yeah, if it hits you fully and you don't have the protections against it, you get hit with a huge amount of statuses. And Barret is basically out of commission now until we can heal him. So, yeah, he's in big trouble. But while all this is happening, like, this fight is just total chaos. And while it's happening, though, we are starting to push closer towards a stagger. So I'm trying to put more pressure while I've got infinite MP. So there you go. That was a big chunk of damage, actually. And we don't even have Doppelganger or Arcane Ward or anything. So I'm trying my best to kind of fight back here and not just be completely passive. But if that comes in and we just about, I think, managed to avoid the worst of the worst status effects there. Fire out. I'm just waiting for Barret's thing to wear off. But also, here comes the big move. Let's see. We do have Mana Wall. 9,000 HP for Barret. I love that part of the attack sequence. And so surprisingly little damage, and we have a limit. So I'm like, immediately, let's just try and interrupt him and just start hitting him with a bit of that. Unfortunately, he got the Genji shield in like right before, but when you get rid of the shield, you pressure him. So I figured, okay, let's just keep going here. A big Curaga. This is like the last free spell that I get. And we're almost going to get the stagger here. And there it is, first stagger. So we fought back pretty well there. Honestly, the fact that that countdown attack didn't do as much damage as I thought really helped swing the battle a little bit here. And so this is the phase of the fight where I started to gain a little more confidence and think to myself, you know what, maybe we can actually get this done. So let's see what happens here. It has been, I think, 2 or 3 weeks since I recorded this, so I'm kind of enjoying watching back the battle as well. It's been kind of entertaining. There's something different and kind of fun about this type of format as well. It's definitely not something I'm going to kind of do regularly. I use it for like the attack-only type challenges anyway, but for this type of material, sometimes it's nice. Like when I'm recording, I can just focus on the fight. And that was not very good. And then in retrospect, kind of see what I was doing, see what I did wrong, you know, just see how I tackled things. It's kind of fun. I think it's definitely a bit more likely to bring out the frustration when you are commentating. Like, I'm much more likely to just shut up and play, obviously. I'm not the kind of person that when I'm not commentating, I don't tend to kind of complain out loud very much. But that's a huge, huge overdrive, man. I've been playing Final Fantasy X again, of course. So I'm calling it overdrive, but Limit Break. Busted Sword and Massey Mooney. It's a great boss and it's a great fight, but it's just so chaotic that like you don't really get much time to enjoy it. Until you probably give it a lot more attempts and you really learn the fight, it's just utter chaos. And so yes, we have 2 frogs at the moment. It's going to wear off soon, thankfully, so I just need to hang in there a little longer until it wears off. So attracted its attention with Yuffie a little bit there. She's still got 5,000, so I figured that's going to be useful. So I'm just waiting here to see what's going to happen. There you go. So I didn't time that well. I was going to wait for the death and then immediately try to raise, but it didn't happen. Barret's got a decent chunk of MP. I'm not using his MP for very much here, so... Oh, that's so unlucky. Wow. The timing of that was absolutely horrendous, and it cost him big. Okay. So the battle's kind of... It's had like interesting swings. There's been like 1 to 2 minute periods where I've been putting the pressure on and things have been going well, and then we've had phases where he's just, you know, we're getting KOs, we're getting turned into a frog, we're just, a whole bunch of things are happening at once. But all in all, we're just about hanging in there. So it's kind of similar to how it went when we met in on Gilgamesh Island, but obviously a harder version of that. So I'm trying to charge some ATB here. But I've just not generally been able to set up the way that I've wanted here. Like, he just chains attacks so quickly, and that was a bit annoying. That move was there like ages ago, but I kind of ran into it, unfortunately. But still trying to build ATB. But every time I'm ready to do like a doppelganger or something, I need to do something else. I've not really been able to get that set up. I think if I could really get Yuffie to get like Doppelganger, get inside the Arcane Ward, I'd be able to really like pound it with the Firaga spells, but at the moment I'm struggling a little bit with that stuff. So again, we're going to push a little harder. And again, his move got cancelled. The amount of times Barret's had a Rise cancelled and he's had a Prey cancelled. So we've had some really unfortunate kind of snap moments here. But she's back again. And what, those limit breaks are coming again. So as I've said all along, I've tried to rely more on my limit breaks here. And so everything that's charging from Aerith is going to the rest of the team. And there you go, Yuffie has a full limit as well. And there you go. Okay, Stagger comes in. So Barret's dead, so this is far from ideal. But I'm like, let's just do as much damage as we can. So in she comes. We've used enough synergy abilities that her limit level's higher. We get a free Arise, which is big because Aerith barely has any MP left at this stage. But as I say, I'm just like, I need to get to the end by any means necessary at this stage, so screw it. We just need to make it. So Barret getting towards a big limit break again. Okay, this move is not as bad. It buys me a little more time here. Yeah, it's not as bad. Like the damage 500 is really not a big deal there. And so now I can finally use a Dispel. Like the battle kind of slowed down momentarily there, so I was able to actually do something right. So now this is one of those windows where I'm finally starting to get a little bit of time to at least try a few things here, but I think it was just about enough. I don't think the Rancid Breath did much ultimately, but yeah, trying to get some MP back for Aerith there. She's back up to 46, which is decent. Quick. Okay, this time he actually got the Prey in. He actually made it. So he's in that insane phase again. Yep, Yuffie died. And we have no ATB. It's always the worst possible scenario here. Okay, block that. Yeah. But that limit is going up for Barret, and he's hit it. And again, it buys us time. So honestly, without these limit breaks, I would not have been able to pull through here. But they really, really helped. I'm here. Go on. So just before, wasn't quick enough there. But now he's getting a bit stuck. There you go. Pushing again. Staying with Yuffie here. Gilgamesh Beam coming in. Do I spot this and block? Nope. Oh, I did. Okay, there you go. Whew. It's always so satisfying when you land a block. It just, I wish I could do it more. Alright, almost at a Stagger again. And there it is. And another limit break. Yeah, decide to unload the Maximum Fury here. Yeah, seeing the health bar drain, but we're not going to get there. We still have a little more to do here. I decide to go for the big Kuraga still. I don't have MP, but like we're too close to dying here. Swordsman Supreme. Come on, give me my HP. There it is. Okay. Yeah, he's just going crazy now. I think that was a fire-based spell. I think Barret healed that. So, again, trying to do something that will help us out here and slow him down a little bit. There you go. Again, he's staggering a little. Okay. Still got infinite MP here. Yuffie's fallen asleep, though. I don't even know what hit her there, but she's fallen asleep. And I'm just anything to put more pressure on here. That did not work so well, but he's got infinite MP, so I was just trying to make use of it. He's never going to block this, or, well, he can't block it, but yeah, he was always going to get hit from that. So just deciding, like, what's the best thing to go with. I decide to use fire because I get MP back. So you can see I almost get all of it back, which is pretty good. So I'm just really just the final little piece of damage here. Anything we can to finish the job here.
I'll show you what I can do.
Very close. One final bit of MP, because we're going to get 30% of it back. And there you go. So again, Gilgamesh defeated first time. So he was tough, and we had some very close moments, but we managed to pull through. And we get to see the final round for the first time, and 3 guesses who it's going to be. Did you guess Sephiroth? I bet you did. So this is virtual Sephiroth, and the first time I faced this guy. So obviously try and get like a regen in for safety from the start, and obviously he's going to come in with very quick blade moves here. This one I genuinely didn't do any research. I didn't know what to do against him. It was just going to be, you know, me taking it, you know, one step at a time and seeing what I could figure out. Now again, this style, my kind of playstyle, just does not suit these kind of challenges in that sense, because if you're like, oh well, it doesn't matter if I die, I just want to find out what he can do, so I'm going to take some risks, or I'm going to be sloppy, then it's like, oh okay, you're just going to need 40 minutes to try again now. So Shadowy Chains has already hit 2 people, and I didn't know like what the deal with this move was. At this point, like, how do we dodge it? Anyone who gets hit by the chain, how long does it last? I wasn't really sure, but already we were in trouble here because you know, he's obviously gunning down Yuffie, and the others are just basically stuck. So I was like, what do I do in this situation? Like, when are they going to be free? I don't have any way to basically assess him. So I was like, yeah. At this point, I paused the game because I was like, I want to see what his assessment screen looks like, because I don't know anything about him, and I don't want to spend 40 minutes finding out, like trying to come back into this battle with an assess so that I can then assess him and read the information. So I decided to try and see online if I could find at least the assess information. That's where I like to begin, because that's what, like, that's where you find out what the game wants you to know, as opposed to obviously people coming up with guides and telling you how to literally defeat something. I prefer to go with what the game gives me first. And so I looked it up, and ultimately I don't think I found anything that was particularly useful. So I'm going to just skip ahead to when I continue the fight here. Alright, here we go. Continuing on. Took an immediate hit. I don't even have that much HP left, but Shadowy Chains, as you can see, he keeps spamming it. He's constantly spamming it. And it's like, if you use a move that has any kind of charge up time or delay, you're going to get hit with Shadowy Chains if you're not careful. So at this stage I'm kind of panicked, because I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. These guys are still stuck in their chains. If all 3 of us get stuck in chains, clearly it's game over, and it's already taken me ages to get this far. It's like, come on, man. Like, I'm fighting the urge to just look up how to beat him just so I can continue on, because like, what I've encountered so far is just really counterproductive for me in terms of just trying the fight over and over until I learn a few things and can practice some stuff. You just don't have the time, because you just have to try it all again. And as you've seen, if you make one mistake with Shadowy Chains, you get chained up and you're stuck there for a long time. Okay, so I'm back again. Let's see what I try and do here. I don't even remember how this first attempt ended. Let's see. Shadowy Chains. He's loading another one up. He's just constantly loading one up. And yeah, that one I did not know he could do. So he can Shadowy Chains you from a distance as well. It's not always the kind of swipey thing. Then he does an Octaslash once he's chained you all up. Now, Barret can survive it, so that was something I noticed for the future. Like, it is tankable, the Octaslash. It's incredibly damaging, but it is possible to potentially survive it. So that's kind of important. Let's see. Yeah, lots of unconsciousness. Arise takes so long. Let's see what he's got. Nope, he gets interrupted and he's already finished. So you're about to see the end here. Skewer coming in, unblockable. Big boy Barret doing his best to get out of the way. I'm surprised he dodged that. That was a good effort. Raise. Okay, he gave us a split second there till he's do something. So Yuffie is back, and I'm seeing, like, can I at least get a limit or something? Like, you know, slow him down with that. I've not even done any damage here. So Aerith is dead. Barret is bound by the chains. It's not looking very good at all. Will I have time? Okay. So I'm kind of hanging in there. I'm not really doing any damage, but I'm hanging in there. He's gone for Aerith, and the bad thing here is that, as you've seen, Shadowy Chains doesn't always target the person you're in control of. So while you're trying to run away with Yuffie, he can just be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to use Shadowy Chains on Aerith instead. So you have to somehow deal with Shadowy Chains hitting Aerith while you're controlling Yuffie, and so it makes it way harder. If he only targeted Yuffie when you're in control of her, then of course you're much more likely to just keep running rings, or like using Brumal Form and all of that stuff. But because he does it on everyone, that kind of changes the fight. Now, I was thinking like ahead to potential next attempt already, and I was like, maybe this is a Yuffie solo fight. Like, there's a way to basically, once the other two are already shadow chained, it's just he's obviously only going to target Yuffie, and as long as Yuffie stays alive, can we kind of indefinitely dodge him while he's doing all of this stuff? Honestly, I don't know. But the problem is, obviously, he's completely relentless, and he has the longer distance Shadowy Chains as well. So yeah, after a certain amount of time, he will still use Octaslash on whoever he's chained up, but as long as you're far enough away, you're okay. And you can see I got the limit break here because Aerith was taking damage, and so I kind of got to benefit from that. Get Aerith up, and here I basically just wanted to fire off a limit like as soon as possible. See if I could interrupt him. Okay, there we go. So still, I mean, at the end of the day, despite how terrible it's been, I'm still kinda, at least I've made some progress, right? So I thought to myself, if I can find a way to deal with Shadowy Chains, I might have a chance of actually doing something. I might be able to beat him. But he chained up Yuffie here, and this is when I knew it was over, because Yuffie's obviously the one that she can kind of almost indefinitely dodge his Shadowy Chains. And Aerith was the only one left, and I thought, okay, now I'm well and truly finished. So I did maybe like 8% of his health bar, but I knew I was done. So I thought, you know, there's just nothing you can do from here. You're not going to survive long enough unless you know how to deal with Shadowy Chains, which we're going to come to. But for now, at least, there was no way. So Shadowy Chains on the third one. This was an attempt to tank the Octaslash. I thought it was coming anyway. I can't dodge it, but maybe I can survive it. Let's see. And Barret will get a limit break. Yeah, so Barret's the only one who can survive it. I thought, let's just unleash this limit break anyway. Whatever. See if he can do it. He becomes immune. And so this is my first attempt against Virtual Sephiroth. Not very good. I think it's like, that's more like 10 to 15% of his HP tops. Yeah, so he's been chained up. And yeah, you can guess what's going to happen next. Out to slash again. So it's a very simple moveset. He just spams Shadowy Chains over and over and over and over again. And then he uses Octaslash. So for the first half of Virtual Sephiroth, that's what you have to deal with. And so this was the point at which I said, okay, let's put everything to one side. Let's not make this an ego thing. It takes too long to get there. The time that you saw on there was 29 minutes, but that's more like 45, 50 minutes or something of real time. And I was like, I'm not spending that much time again just to give it another go and see what's going to happen kind of thing. Because if I need 5 goes against Virtual Sephiroth, that's like 4 or 5 hours. Maybe I need more goes. Who the hell knows? So at this stage, I'd been fighting for so long, and I've already had so many grindy, annoying fights that I was like, I'm not going to let this sort of make me hate the game and get the better of me in that sense. I'm satisfied with the progress I managed to make. I need to find out how to beat this guy, and is there a trick that I can utilize to be able to beat Sephiroth? And of course, there is. So what we're going to do is we're going to head to the Virtual Sephiroth fight. In general, I've always said that these are just kind of my first time blind attempt wins. Don't use them as guides or anything like that. For Virtual Sephiroth, at least, I'm sure what I'm about to show you will help some people, because I was the one who looked it up myself. And in general, this particular thing really helped me kind of break apart the Sephiroth fight and figure it out. And so the video was by someone called Ether Truck, and it's called Virtual Sephiroth, How to Parry Shadowy Chains Every Time. Because that was the main problem that I had with Sephiroth. It was how to deal with shadowy chains, because he spams it all the time. And if there's a way to deal with it, then at least for the first half, until he changes his moveset, which I later found out, you are able to make it a much easier time and actually have a chance of winning. So let's take a look at this fight. Obviously, as I say, we're not going to look through the previous rounds. We're going to go back to Virtual Sephiroth, and I'll have plenty of time, hopefully, to explain how it works. And I didn't execute it perfectly, because this was literally the next attempt, and I didn't do a fantastic job of it, but I did well enough to get the win. So let's have a look. Okay, my friends, time for Virtual Sephiroth. The main trick here is, for me at least, I needed to find a way to stop shadowy chains from incapacitating me. And so the trick here is to basically cheese it using tactical mode. And here's what we're going to do. So he comes in. This is a normal attack anyway, so there's not too much to think about. I was trying to use Barrier. I mean, you saw when he did Octo Slash, Barret survived it naturally anyway. And so especially with Barrier, I felt like even if I make mistakes, there's a chance that Yuffie and Aerith could also potentially survive here. So I'm going to do my best to kind of at least have Barrier and regen and then get to work. So let's see. Shadowy Chains. Now, the trick here is to try to see who he is aiming the chains at. Is it Barret? Is it Aerith? Sometimes it's hard to tell. But once he starts moving towards that person, you need to be in tactical mode. If you're not like a god when it comes to parrying this particular move in real time, this is how you need to do it. You watch him. This is how quick he moves. Like even in tactical mode, he's zipping across here. And once he gets to about halfway, his sword will start to wiggle a little bit. So he's holding his sword completely straight. And then now, like, his sword will start to twist a little bit. Now you hold your finger on R1 and you cancel out. And if you do that, you're going to get perfect parry timing every single time. And so that was, for me at least, that was the only way I could consistently do it. Because he just keeps spamming shadowy chains over and over and over again. And the cost of failure is really high here. So shadowy chains again. This time is very clearly going to be on Yuffie. Executing this, obviously this was literally, the one that you saw there with Aerith was the first time that I did it. You need to do it a lot. Like, depending on how well the rest of your stuff is set up, you might need a lot of attempts to do it. And so that one I screwed up, because the one thing that's throwing me off a little bit is sometimes he does the rush charge and sometimes he does the orb type one, and you need to be able to identify which one he's doing. And if you get it wrong, then he's going to end up basically shadowy chaining you once again. So this is the same as last time. That time I was just about quick enough. But as you see, like, he does it so often that you might face like 20 of them, 30 of them, and if you don't get it right every time, obviously he's gonna punish you. So definitely a fight in which parrying is going to help. I think that's unsurprising, because obviously Sephiroth's a swordsman, and to be able to beat him, you need to get better at blocking the effects of his sword. And so yeah, you can see, obviously that one I dodged kind of naturally, but I couldn't rely on that, especially with Barret and Aerith, like I needed the parry. But so far at least, I would say it's a much better start than previously. So I'm going to try and bonus round. Obviously, the more I can stagger him, the better it'll be. And so now he's shifted to Aerith, so you have to keep like checking who he's coming to, and then shifting to the right person before he gets on the move, and then you can parry. So this has been a successful start. The only mistake I made was with Yuffie. I didn't recognize that he was doing the orb version. Skewer, I didn't look up or know what to do with that, so I'm just like, okay, just let her get hit by it. It's okay, you know, that's canon anyway, unfortunately. But with that one, it's like, you just kind of have to heal, you basically just deal with it with conventional methods. It's not the end of the world. The only thing is my barriers had run out and Octoslash was coming relatively soon. And as soon as that happens, you basically pull out anyone who's not in Shadowy Chain. So it's only Yuffie here taking the brunt of the damage. And yes, she died, but we still have plenty of MP. So immediate Arise. And it did help her limit gauge as well, obviously. So the chain starts again here, basically. We have already half of a stagger gauge. I assume the parrying is going to help on that front too. So now at least when he's distracted, I'm trying to find little pockets of time to work on a few things here. So he's coming towards Barret. That time I messed it up. Got a little bit impatient, but I managed to still make it. The only thing I would advise with this one is basically what I was doing wrong, I think, was that I was heading into tactical mode too early when he's winding up the move. And if you're there during the wind-up, then it basically, you have to wait for a very long time in tactical mode. And sometimes I was getting impatient and just being like, you know, I want to, like from here, for example, you might have to wait literally 15-20 seconds before you can do the block. And if you go even earlier, it's more like 30 seconds. So a few times I tried to quickly kind of cancel out of tactical mode and go back in it, but even then you can sometimes be too slow. So here, if you catch him this early, I recommend, if you're not very good at doing this like me, just stay patient. And so there I sacrificed the shadowy chains so I can get an extra barrier on. And this time it was the orb. So he screwed me over there. That was nasty. But since I have barrier, the Octo Slash isn't going to be quite as bad. So I'm not as worried. So shadowy chains again. This time it's the rush. And this time I'm going to hopefully learn my lesson and not cancel out of this. You just have to be really patient here. If you don't have that timing down in real time, you just have to wait. This is the cost of basically not being good enough to parry in real time. You have to be a baby, and you have to just wait in tactical mode and make sure you get the block right. But you can see how long it takes. There you go. So I was impatient again. I didn't learn my lesson, but thankfully I still made it. Just about when he closes about half of the ground, not too late. Hold R1 and then cancel out tactical mode. Bang. Like that changed everything. Like being able to do that was basically the difference between winning and losing for me. But I was not about to spend a bunch of hours trying to potentially figure that out myself, or even more hours trying to learn the timing myself anyway. So that time I was far enough away. So while running from Sephiroth, I'm going to try now and then to get into the ATB bit as well to charge up the others. But here, again, same deal. The amount of time it takes for him to start the rush, if he's just in the crouching waiting position, is just so long. Yep, you see, now I screwed up. You see, it's impatient, so don't do what I did here. Just wait. Even if it takes another 45 seconds, I promise you it's going to be less time than it would take you to do this all again and get back up to Sephiroth, so don't do this. I leaned on the fact that I had barrier for everybody, basically. I think I was a bit... I let the barrier kind of do the heavy lifting there. But I don't recommend it. So just trying my best to get back here. They're all bunched up together, which is not great. There you go. Got out at least. So we're wearing him down. It's slow progress, but I'm just so focused on just trying to make sure I don't get hit with the shadowy chains and keeping my barriers up that I'm not able to go on the attack very much. So this is Aerith. Wait for it. Okay. So this is perfect timing. Like when he's zipping through like this, more often than not, you should be able to land the block. Let's see what I do here. Yeah, I got it. And he's almost staggered. So I'm trying to... There you go, do some damage while I'm there. And there's a stagger, okay. I don't think there's too much stuff I can do here. I'm going to try to obviously do as much damage as I can. But I should probably still keep some ATB for when it's done, I'm not sure. I do have limits, so I'm hoping for like, you know, to blow through with the limits as much as I can as well. So thankfully he doesn't have like a stupid amount of HP, which definitely helps in this fight. Just getting the regen back on. And getting the barrier back on before he gets back. There you go. So this basically is a way to help if you've messed up. So here, I think it's already too late to switch. Yeah. So if you can't identify who Shadowy Chains is coming towards and you take like half a second too long, he's already basically zipping over and you're going to fail. So that's where the barrier and the regen is going to come in. So as I say, it's not been anywhere near a perfect execution of this whole method, but you're seeing that being able to stop Shadowy Chains has really been helpful for me. Now here, he was a little bit closer to start, and so this was a little bit more of a difficult one. Let's see if I still manage to get the parry here. Just be patient. Like watching this back, I'm like, I hope I stayed patient, I just waited. But I really wanted this fight to be done so badly. Okay, he's finally on the move. It just takes forever. But once he starts zipping, like in relative terms, you just understand how fast he is. If he's moving this quick in tactical mode, he's just insane. So now I wasn't exactly sure when to do it, but I think I'm going to go for it very soon, like about now. Yeah, see, I got it wrong that time. Honestly, I'm not sure if I went too early or too late there. But whatever the case is, I messed up. But again, here, I have to kind of rely on my... here you go, Shadowy Chains. I mean, anytime you can block it is a bonus. So I'm going to try again to block it this time. When you have a lot of room like this, it definitely helps. My assumption is with Yuffie I was too late. Because here, I think even after he goes past this circle here, like about now-ish, that's already enough. And that's relatively a lot of time. So I think I went too late with Yuffie. I think that's where I messed up. Let's see if we can counter here. Okay, it's a little bit of help. But yeah, taking risks that I shouldn't be taking, probably. So there's Octaslash. And now, these two should survive because they still have barrier. And I can get a quick heal in and we're still okay. And they have limits now. So it's been a grindy old fight, but I think we're hanging in there. Just waiting to see what happens here. Okay. I think I did a pretty good job. Just using a normal cure here, I think, to save MP. And Yuffie does have a limit break. Just getting straight into that. Yeah. I need that limit break. I didn't realize that Yuffie didn't use it for a second here. So it's still there. Just use the limit break. Come on, guys.
You can do it. You're in good hands.
Both of you. Go. No shadowy chains here. Just get to it. And Aerith can just load up ATB while we wait. There you go. So we're bringing him down close to half HP here. And at half HP, he does start a new phase. Let's see if we can kind of block him a little bit here. Shadowy chains coming again. They've kind of got in his way, and I just did not know what was going to happen here. Let's see. Watching everything play out in this slow motion is so damn cool sometimes. I still think it's a genius mechanic. It's one of the smartest mechanics I've seen in a long time. Like, in terms of gameplay design, I just think it's so good. So I don't know if this is going to end up cancelling him out of this move or not at this point. I can't tell. So I'm just like watching, seeing what happens here. So you can see another Yuffie popping out there. But the movement is just so slow. Like, Sephiroth just looks like he's never going to move. But cancelling it out to kind of speed things up and then going back in is very risky. So I did it there, but it's very risky. But I think he's going to land the hit if I'm not careful. So let's see if I get the block. This might be too late again. Zipping past there. There you go. I got the block. Okay. So you can see 3 Yuffies now. And so yeah, he does get cancelled out. So in Elden Ring terms, I would say his hyper armor / poise is not the best. And so I think that's definitely useful for us. So get barrier back on. Just trying to make sure I always keep my protections here. And I'm trying to see if I can just unload a little bit of extra damage now that I have barrier back on. So I start to take more risks once that's on. And there you go. So the phase transition has come. And the first phase is always fire. So the good thing about that is obviously I can eat up the fire elemental. And so now I can play a bit more fast and loose here. And we don't have to deal with the chains anymore. So this is why, like, at this stage, I would probably, in hindsight, I would have left my limits for this phase so that I can really blast through as quick as possible. It's definitely an easier phase than Shadowy Chains, for obvious reasons. But once he moves over to, like, his other elements, if you don't have protection against it, he can definitely still kill you and be annoying if you're not ready. So I'd probably still save the limits if you can. So I wanted to start Ray of Judgment early. Let's go. There you go. Maximum Fury. But I think Ray of Judgment mostly missed. That's really annoying. You see that? Like, most of it missed. I really tried to wind it up early so that he felt the full force of it, but it didn't quite work. But they can salvo. So definitely doing well here. But once he changes his affinity, we have to be careful again. He's going to try. Let's see if we can hold on. Mana ward here. I still have enough MP. If I'd have run out of MP at this stage, it would have been problematic. And then he just busts out an Octoslash from nowhere. I was like, wait a minute, you just switched to ice. Dude, what's going on? So I tried my best to get away from there. Thankfully, he chose Barret, which was probably the best person to choose for this particular situation. So I was kind of happy about that. Barret can definitely take the punishment. As you can see, he's doing very well. And it helps his limit break as well. And it gives us time to charge up our ATBs. So yeah, for me at least, it was mostly like 80-90% of the fight was basically learning how to deal with shadowy chains. So staying on the move, Blizzaga at least gives you a little bit of a window to move if you need it. Barret's still taking damage here, which in general is good because his second level limit break is absolutely enormous. And so the better we do with that, the better. Yeah, that was I don't know what that was. It's a big move. Look at that. So I need to keep ATB here because I need to heal a little bit more. I decide to try and probably use one of these two, right? Let's use it. Ah, he changes affinity. Yeah. So now I was like, shit, man. I came this far. I can't lose now. I go for the raise because it's quicker. And then she gets cancelled out of it. And so suddenly things got a little bit hairy here. I was getting close to the finish, but that skewer on Barret really gave me a bad time. So tank that. Did not tank that. Thankfully, again, it's not incredibly huge damage with the mana wall. But since he's distracted a bit on Yuffie, I thought let's get Barret back up. And he's getting close to a limit break. So the limit breaks have kind of saved the day for me so far. I don't even know what that move is. There we go. He's getting closer and closer to a limit. Like, he's really going crazy now. Like, I have to be very careful. Reprieve activated, but Barret has a full overdrive now. And it's time to unload. I'm not going to wait here. Let's go.
Shall I sever your fate?
So if you can survive long enough for Fire Affinity to come back with this setup, probably you'll be okay again. But that was a little bit of a shaky moment. If you look at my MP as well, other than Barret, it's not looking good. So I was a little bit worried. So I'm just trying to hold on here until Barret can interrupt him and do big damage. Look at that. Huge damage. And Virtual Sephiroth has been defeated. So there we go, my friends. That was my adventure with the Rulers of the Outer Worlds brutal challenge. So definitely brutal. But you get a Götterdämmerung, the thing that basically starts you off with a full limit break, which is going to be huge. Normally you're supposed to get this, and then this helps you for the solo legendary challenges and stuff as well. But as you've seen, the solo legendary challenges are basically easier than this anyway, so I decided to do those first. And in general, I think I was happy with the path I took, because as I've been saying, these challenges are just really designed to push you to the limit in terms of like your patience and your endurance. Like, yes, of course, they're tough battles, but it's more so the structure that's the problem. And I did my absolute best to try and acknowledge that and to try and play it in a way that didn't kind of leave me stuck, let's say, for days on the same boss, or, you know, just fighting the same thing 15, 20 times and just not getting it, struggling, all of that kind of stuff. Because there's so many of them that there's, like, if it was just like one fight where like we cleared everything and there's this one fight at the end that's so hard and you do that and you finished everything, then for me, I'm generally motivated enough to kind of go the course. And then I'll spend like 8 hours, 10 hours on one boss just to finish everything off and just kind of put the icing on the cake. But with this one, it's like, supposedly you clear that one and then you move on to legendary fights. And then you do legendary fights, some of which, as you've also seen, were pretty hard. And then you have the 2 extra legendary fights, one of which is okay, but the second of which is very, very hard. And so, yeah, I think the way that I tackled it ultimately was good. I saved myself, like, of course there was frustration and it was very hard, but in terms of it being like absolutely unbearable and just like throwing controllers, getting tilted, just like completely like hating the experience and hating the game, that didn't happen for me. But I will say, looking up that Sephiroth trick definitely helped a lot. And for anyone struggling with that fight, I would definitely advise to use that trick because it was huge. So from here, there are only 2 fights left. So we will see, depending on how long they take, that's either 2 more videos, or maybe 3 more videos, or maybe 4 more videos, because everything just takes so long. And with that, we will finally wrap up the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth series, and that will be that, barring any DLC. I don't think, if I ever play this game again, it's almost certainly going to be just going back for the story and none of this ever again. So I will see you for the next video very soon.